70,000 gallons of fuel were sent into the desert, but only 30,000 arrived. No attack, no explosion. So where did the rest go? Blazing heat, endless desert. A convoy moves slowly across North Africa, carrying 70,000 gallons of fuel. By the time it reaches the front, more than half is gone. Not stolen, not destroyed, simply lost. And somehow, this is called success. This silent loss is weakening an entire army, one drop at a time. The most shocking part is that the solution already exists, yet no one is using it. September 1942. Richard M. Daniel arrives in Egypt with one mission: to find out why fuel is disappearing during the campaign against Erwin Rommel. What he discovers is worse than any report. Fuel is not reaching the soldiers. It is vanishing before it even gets close to battle. Trucks bounce across rough desert tracks. Inside them, metal cans shake and rattle. Within hours, the smell of petrol fills the air. Alan Moorhead describes it clearly. The containers cannot survive the journey. They leak, they crack, they fail. Even Claude Auchinleck admits a harsh truth: a huge portion of fuel never arrives. The real enemy is not distance, it is the containers. Thin, weak, unreliable. They bend when stacked, split when dropped, and leak under the burning sun. American versions are not much better. They slow everything down, require tools, and still fail under pressure. Fuel seeps into the sand while soldiers struggle to keep up. Drop by drop, the desert drinks what the army needs most. No explosions, no warning, just a quiet loss that slowly turns into a disaster. Fuel was the lifeline of war, and the Allied system was bleeding it away. Richard M. Daniel quickly understood this was not a minor flaw. It was a weakness that could decide victory or defeat. He sent an urgent warning to Washington, estimating massive losses. The exact number did not matter. Whether 30% or more, the result was the same. Operations slowed, plans failed, and progress stopped. The real shock was this: the enemy was not suffering the same problem. On the other side, German supply lines told a different story. Allied soldiers who captured enemy depots noticed something strange. Their fuel containers looked almost new, even after months in the desert. These green steel cans became highly valuable. Soldiers collected them whenever possible. Officers began requesting them by name. After Benghazi, captured stocks were enough for elite units to abandon their old containers completely. For the first time, the difference was impossible to ignore. These were the famous jerry cans, designed in 1937 by Vinzenz Grunvogel. Years of testing had shaped every detail before the war even began. By the time fighting started, Germany had already prepared thousands of them. While others struggled with failing equipment, German troops carried a solution that worked perfectly under pressure. The design looked simple, but it was built for war. Strong steel, welded seams, and an X-shaped structure gave it strength and flexibility. Inside, a protective layer kept fuel safe from damage. Unlike weak containers, these cans did not crack or leak. They survived heat, impact, and constant movement. One small improvement created a huge advantage on the battlefield. Even the handles were carefully designed. 3 grips allowed easy carrying, fast passing, and perfect stacking. A single soldier could carry 2 full cans without effort. Stronger soldiers could carry more. Everything was built for speed and efficiency, something the Allied system lacked. Then came the cap design, simple but powerful. One quick motion opened it. Air flowed in, and fuel poured out smoothly. No tools, no delay, no struggle. A single soldier could empty the can in seconds. It even floated if dropped in water. Every detail had a purpose, and every detail worked. That X-shaped pattern was not decoration, it was survival engineering. It gave strength, controlled pressure, and allowed the metal to expand and contract under extreme heat. In the desert, where temperatures shifted constantly, this design kept the container stable. While others leaked and failed, this one adapted. Every detail worked together, making it reliable when failure could cost lives. This was not just a container, it was a guarded secret. German testing showed almost no fuel loss. These cans survived drops, heat, and rough handling without damage. They stacked perfectly, moved easily, and worked fast. While Allied forces struggled with leaking equipment, Germany had already solved the problem with precision engineering that gave them a clear advantage in the field. In 1939, Paul Pleece came close to changing everything. During a journey with a German colleague, he discovered these containers and even received their full design details. It was a rare chance to introduce a superior system before it spread. He saw its potential immediately and understood what it could mean for the future of military logistics. Back in the United States, he tried to warn officials. He explained the design, its efficiency, and its importance, but without a physical sample, no one paid attention. Determined, he arranged to send one back. Even when real samples finally reached officials, the response was slow and uncertain. Opportunities were slipping away, not because of lack of proof, but because no one acted fast enough. The real problem was mindset. Many officials trusted their own systems and ignored foreign ideas. This resistance delayed progress. Instead of adopting a proven design, they stuck with outdated containers that required tools and wasted time. In fast-moving desert warfare, this hesitation came at a heavy cost. Eventually, engineers at Camp Hollebird studied the German design in detail. They measured, tested, and understood how it worked. But instead of copying it exactly, they chose to modify it. The shape stayed the same, the handles remained, the capacity matched. Yet one small hidden change was made. A change that could not be seen, but would soon be felt across the battlefield. The difference came down to one invisible detail. The German container used a welded seam, sealing the steel tightly and making it strong under pressure and heat. The American version used rolled seams, faster and cheaper to produce. On paper, it looked efficient. In reality, it created a hidden weakness that only appeared in the desert. At first, the American design seemed good enough. It was lighter and easier to manufacture. For water, it worked fine. But gasoline under extreme heat behaved differently. As temperatures changed, the metal expanded and contracted again and again. Slowly, the seams weakened. Not with sudden breaks, but with tiny gaps that allowed fuel to escape without notice. Richard M. Daniel later explained the danger clearly. Rolled seams could not hold gasoline safely under pressure changes. They did not burst open, they leaked slowly. One container lost only a little, but thousands together caused massive loss. It was a silent failure that drained the entire system without warning. Other changes made things worse. Some versions removed key features like the internal breather system and protective coating. These small shortcuts reduced efficiency and durability. Production continued at speed, and thousands of these containers were sent into real conditions without proper testing. In the field, the problem revealed itself quietly. Soldiers noticed damp patches, faint petrol smells, and dark stains under containers left in the sun. Nothing dramatic, nothing urgent, but across thousands of cans, the loss grew serious. They performed better than flimsies, but far worse than the German originals. By 1942, the difference was clear. Reliable German cans were used for critical missions. American ones were used where risk was lower. The desert exposed every flaw. Heat during the day and cold at night forced metal to expand and contract constantly. Seams weakened, gaps widened, and fuel slipped away drop by drop. The desert did not need to destroy supplies. It only needed time. When Richard M. Daniel sent his warning in September 1942, Washington could no longer ignore the crisis. His estimate matched the harsh reality on the ground. This was no longer about statistics, it was about survival. Fuel meant movement, power, and control, and without it, even the strongest army became helpless. The truth soon appeared on the battlefield. Tanks stopped, not because they were destroyed, but because they ran out of fuel. Entire operations slowed, plans failed, and opportunities were lost. The enemy was not the only problem. The Allied system itself was breaking under pressure, unable to deliver what the war demanded. In late 1942, Erwin Rommel launched another push, but even his forces struggled with fuel shortages. The attack failed as supplies ran low. Both sides faced challenges, but for the Allies, the damage was largely self-caused. They were forced to send extra fuel, knowing much of it would never arrive. Instead of fixing their own flawed design, the solution came from elsewhere. British factories began producing accurate copies of the German container. This time, no shortcuts were taken. Strong welded seams, proper systems, and durable materials returned reliability to the supply chain. The impact was immediate. Millions of improved containers reached North Africa, reducing losses and stabilizing supply lines. By 1944, production expanded further, ensuring steady delivery closer to the front. What had once been a hidden weakness was finally being corrected. These new containers performed exactly as needed. They did not leak. They handled heat, mud, and rough terrain, and they made transport faster and easier. Yet even then, shortages remained. Fuel was available, But without enough reliable containers, it could not always reach the soldiers who needed it most. The problem was no longer fuel itself, but how it was carried. A hidden weakness continued to slow entire operations at critical moments. In August 1944, shortages of proper containers limited how much fuel reached the front. At the same time, George S. Patton pushed rapidly across France, moving faster than expected. Then suddenly, everything stopped near Metz, not because of defeat, but because fuel ran out. His army had outrun its own supply system, proving that speed meant nothing without support. By late 1944, millions of containers were missing. Some were abandoned, others misused, and many simply lost along the long road from Normandy. Soldiers used them as chairs, pathways, anything but their real purpose. A small piece of equipment had turned into a major problem. Without enough containers, even available fuel could not reach the battlefield. By early 1945, demand reached extreme levels. Millions of new containers were needed every month. Over time, more than 20 million were produced. Even Franklin D. Roosevelt admitted their importance, saying that without them, rapid advances would not have been possible. What once seemed minor had become essential to victory. The exact losses may never be known, but the lesson is clear. Early failures, better German design, and later British improvements changed the outcome. The difference came down to details. Welded seams, proper systems, and careful engineering made the design reliable. Small hidden choices created large real-world consequences. This story is not just about a container. It is about understanding design. Copying appearance without understanding function leads to failure. Ignoring details leads to loss. In the end, the design that survived was the one where every part had a purpose. Even today, that same design is still used across the world, nearly unchanged, still reliable, still effective. A reminder that in both engineering and war, the smallest details can decide the biggest outcomes. If you enjoy cinematic history stories, don't forget to like and subscribe.
Subscribe for more history.